Hello and welcome to Brilliance Today, where individuals let their brilliance shine through their stories, expertise and philosophy, because they're on a mission to make a difference and leave a legacy. Introducing Brenda Dempsey, publisher, speaker and TV presenter. Get ready to be inspired.
Hello and welcome to Brilliance Today, the podcast where we are surrounded with brilliance. And I am delighted because I have got a very enigmatic character with us today, Dr. Santarvis Brown. Good day, Dr. Santarvis.
Good afternoon. Well, good morning, rather. Thank you, Brenda, for having me. I don't know about enigmatic, but I'll go with that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I do like that, And of course, we have an audience that's worldwide. So it could be the morning, it could be afternoon, it could be evening. So wherever you are most welcome, because we just want to create these ripples of brilliance and you enjoy these conversations with these brilliant men and women on Brilliance Today. So let's just get right on in. And would you like to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay. So, Santarvis Brown, educator by training and calling, and a pastor. I pastor a Methodist church here in Hollywood, Florida. But been in education since forever now, I think over 20 years, and served in the K-12 and the higher ed space. Currently, I am at Cornell University, and I oversee the leadership, healthcare, and operations management programs through eCornell. In addition to teaching on the faculty, serving on the faculty at University of Virginia, Charlottesville, where I teach leadership, and Florida International University on their management faculty, where I teach leadership as well. As of yesterday, hot off the presses, my book went live for purchase, Leading While Limping, Leadership Learned on the Curve and Off the Cuff. So it's available on authorhouse.com now, and it'll be available on Amazon on April the 15th. But that's just who I am. Love people, have a passion for people, and have a passion for helping people become better and change their lives. Because I realize for every life that I help impact and change, my life is better and has meaning for it.
Wow. I know we had a quick conversation before we came on air, and I did call you brother because there's so much in common. And just know that I was 25 years in education myself. So education is life, is just one big school, one big learning. Every day we learn about ourselves, about others, or about something. We learn a new skill and knowledge. So I am loving that. I am in the company of great royalties. I'll say anyone that's an educator should be wearing that crown. Okay, so when I was reading a bit about you, Dr. Santarvis, you used a phrase that I love, and it was unapologetically you. Can you explain what that means?
We live in a society now, Brenda, where I think that a lot of times people are hesitant to be who they are.
Yeah.
And hesitant to embrace who they are and let that light shine. And I've come to the realization over years that you have to be unapologetically who you are. Be you. Howard Thurman wrote in a quote in a wonderful speech that he made called "The Sound of the Genuine." He made this quote, and he said that your idiom is the only idiom of its kind that has ever been made and ever will be made. And so when you think about that and you hear that, you're the only you in a world of billions of people. You are the only you. You can't help but be unapologetically you, because the greatness and the creativity and all of that that's inside of you has to shine out, because it enhances the world and makes it a better place. And so I've just come to that realization that for whatever I am, I'm Santarvis. And I encourage other people to do the same.
Oh, wow. there's another brother-sister connection right there, because that comes from within. That's a soul-led, a soul-led drive that we have. And for you're talking about let that light shine. I'm talking about let that brilliance shine. It's the same thing.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. We just use slightly different language, but you know, they're synonyms and they've got the same meaning. So hey ho, that's what it's about, you know. And as an educator, we bring out the greatness in others and let them shine. And I love it. I love it. I love it so much. So, you know what? Sometimes we discover that we're an inspiration to other people, and that's quite I find that very humbling, and I find it quite
Yes.
hard to swallow sometimes, because we just live our life as ourselves unapologetically. But
Right.
we should always look back sometimes to see how far we've come. So in your journey thus far, who's been your biggest inspiration?
I've had a lot of inspiration. I've had some great teachers, great mentors. My mom, my grandmother, and now my most meaningful inspiration are my sons, because in that regard, I want to make sure that I'm a good example to them, and they're able to see that for everything that I can do, this is just a launching pad for the greatness that is in store for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And children, you know, I have 4 children myself, and they do inspire you. I actually feel I can be inspired by anybody. It could be a child, you know. We've got 2 kids in BBP family. They are our future voice ambassadors, so you'll love this. I know you will. And their words, the wisdom that come out of their mouths, you know, out of the mouth of babes, they are
Yes.
exactly the epitome of it. And their wisdom is absolutely, it's like they've been on this planet before, you know. So you're right, you know, wisdom comes in all forms and from all places. So, and I love the fact that you said your sons are your biggest inspiration.
Yeah. I always joke with people and say my youngest son, in the past life, he was the dad and I was the son, and so we got along well. So we get to reverse it this time.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And do you know what? I can resonate with that so much, so much. So we've talked about people being an inspiration, but in your work, in your day-to-day life, how do you go about influencing others?
And you know what? I really don't like. I know it's influence, but I always struggle with that word influencing, because I see it as motivating, and I see it as helping people along, because I see life as a relational journey and race that we're all running together. And so I'm running, and in helping you running, it's causing me to run a little further because I got to help you along. And so I like looking at it that way, and I try to impact people more than influence them. But I try to impact people every day. You know, people who know me best will always say that I never meet a stranger. And it's funny because I will talk to anybody about anything and make a friend, you know. I forgot where I was traveling the last time. They sat this guy next to me on the plane, and he was just in a bad mood. And I saw that he had a bag that I liked. And I said, "Oh, that's a nice bag. That's a Joseph Abboud bag, isn't it?" And he says, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I said, "Oh, I bought one." And I showed him mine. And so we ended up talking and never realizing we exchanged business cards at the end. He's an executive for Wells Fargo.
Uh, doesn't mean anything.
And
Sorry, because I'm not in the US, but I'm sure you can explain that.
yeah, Wells Fargo is a major bank here.
All right,
It's
okay.
a major bank in the US. And so he, we follow each other on LinkedIn, and he's like, he looked me up on LinkedIn, and he's like, "I didn't know I was sitting next to a celebrity." And I said, Me neither. And we
Love it.
still connect on LinkedIn and everything. So it's about impacting people.
Mm. Yeah, you know, it's a thread, isn't it? And we can split it, you know, we can impact, we can influence, we can impact, and we can inspire. And I like to think sometimes that we, through walking our talk, by just being who we are authentically,
Yes.
unapologetically, that we can
Yes.
inspire other people into action, whatever that may be. Or we might influence the way that they think, you know. So it's one of those things. Well, what's the difference between influence and impact, or inspire and impact? What's they're all, they've got a similarity, you know. But yes, so you've talked about like leadership, and you teach leadership. So in today's world, where we are right now in the year 2023, what does it take to be a great leader?
A heart that's bigger than your ego.
Yes, love it.
And an ability to want to sustain the organization or the people that you're leading to the point where they will outlive you and your usefulness.
That's a very deep answer. I really like that, in your usefulness. So do you see great leaders? So we know that a great leader creates more leaders. It's nothing to do with followers. That's the ego. The ego wants followers, but leaders want more leaders. You know, so therefore, do you see leadership being part of a legacy?
Yes, but a different kind of legacy. So not the legacy that will be listed among all the achievements, milestones, and accomplishments, but the legacy that will be written upon the heart of the people that you led.
Wow. Wow.
I always tell people, I you know, maybe at some point in my life I'll get a building named after me. I don't know, but that's not my goal. My goal is for somebody to say someday, Santarvis Brown made an impact on my life. That's what leadership is, wanting to impact and imprint at a greater level.
Yeah, I think I love the quote by Maya Angelou, and it's where she says, you know, it's people, you know, they're not going to remember your name, they're not going to remember your achievements, they're not going to remember, but what people remember is how you made them feel.
How you made them feel.
And here again, another sister and brother connection here is that is my purpose in life, to make people feel better, to make people, inspire them wanting to become better, but first and foremost to make them feel better. And we know that because, like, you've just told us a great little story about the man on the plane in a bad mood. And what I wanted to say about that, sorry, we're backtracking a little, but that showed great emotional intelligence, because what you did was you found the connection and the similarity between you and that man, and it was through a bag that he'd bought because you had the same one. And that's what great people do, great connectors, people who are serving people and are interested in people in an authentic way. They find the similarity. What's the common thread? They're not looking at what's different. They're looking at what unites us and what little thing can we open the door with that can begin that conversation. So I salute you for being such a great empathetic leader and finding that commonality in us as humans. And that's a wonderful story that you've told, and I really truly love that, you know.
Thank you.
Now, and when I was reading about you, you were talking about young people and that, and one of the questions I want to ask is, you mentioned this, is what do you say to people who think you're too young to be in the positions that you're in?
Well, I typically don't say anything to them verbally, but through my actions, I show them that they're wrong because I thrive in the position they think that I'm too young to be in.
Yeah.
I have found that we want to put people in boxes based upon our own insecurities. And I tell anybody, never allow someone else's insecurities to box you in. Don't even allow your own insecurities to box you in.
Yeah.
Look at how big the world is, and you want to get caught in a box? Horrible.
You were talking about flying, you know, and oh my goodness, I'm sure we've been on planes a number of times. And when you look out of the window on a plane, or you look up at the expanse of the sky or the night sky and the stars, we actually see how insignificant we are. We're a teensy weensy dot. But yet, don't forget those little teensy weensy dots are made up of divine light, and that divine light can be amplified and therefore light up much more. So yes, we're a wee dot in the grand scheme of things, but never forget how significant we are, because as you said, we're unique and there's been nobody like us before, today, or tomorrow.
Right. I look at, whenever I'm flying, I put this in perspective. I'm at 35,000 feet in the air on something that weighs tons. What am I really in control of? Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. I love it, you know, and that's truth. And sometimes, you know, and sometimes when we want to have control of everything, it's the ego, it's a fear, it's all sorts of things that's happened to us in our lives. But when we learn to let go, the freedom, and you can only be in control of your thoughts. And you know, do you know Viktor Frankl?
I've heard.
Yeah. So his story is, you know, he's in a concentration camp, and they beat him. He was a psychologist, but what he says, they can beat me, they can burn me down, but what they can't ever take away from me are my thoughts. My thoughts are my own, and I can choose. So let's choose those positive thoughts. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
His story is great. Man's Search for Meaning. It's a little small book, but boy, does it pack a punch, you know. So you also, Santarvis, speak about passion for people, and again, me too. But what I want to know, and what the people want to know, is what ignited that passion for people? When did you realize you had a passion for people?
It's hard to say. I have always, even from a child, my mother told me I was the social butterfly that gravitated to people. And I can recall, even in school, I was always the one that wanted to speak up and advocate for people and help people. You know, I remember one day a story that really permeates in my mind. I was sick in third grade, and I had gotten better, and then one of my classmates got really sick. And one of the things that made me better, Brenda, was some cough drops.
Oh yeah.
And so I remembered the cough drops helped me get better. And so one day I was at the store. My grandmother would drop, you know, on our way to school, she would stop by the store. So sometimes I get some candy or whatever. So this particular morning, I got some cough drops, and she said, "But you're not sick anymore." And I said, "No, but one of my classmates is."
Oh.
And so I got her a pack of cough drops, and I gave her the cough drops. And I remember my teacher made a big deal of that, because I was in third grade, and I guess that, looking back on it now, was the first display of empathy. But for me, it was the first outward display that I remember of wanting to make things better for someone. Like you said, wanting to make people feel better. I wanted to make her life better because of the cough.
Oh, that is such a sweet story, isn't it? And you can see that, you see that in, you know, and as educators, and you know, I'm a mother of 4, and you know, you see when you're around children, you can see the children who've got that instinctive drive and desire to help other kids and mother them and nurture them, and even as young as 2, even as babies sitting on the knee, you can see it. And then you'll get the other one, so it's behavioral psychology is just fascinating, and maybe we should talk about that as well. So this is a question that there's a different answer from everybody. It's as individual as we are, and that is, how do you measure success for yourself? What does success look like for you?
A greater level of happiness at a greater level of impact that leaves a lasting imprint.
Ooh, yeah, love that. That's succinct. The imprint. Let's explore that a wee bit more, because you were so succinct there, you know. How does one make an imprint in someone? Is it in their heart? Is it, what does that mean for you? Can you explain that a wee bit more?
The heart, the mind, and if your imprint is, well, if your impact is so substantial, it will sometimes touch the soul.
Yes, I love it. Yes. And I suppose, here's a quick question we'll throw in. This is a bonus one, talking about imprint. There's people in your life, so I'm sure if I asked you the question, who from your childhood has made the biggest imprint on your soul, who would that be?
I would say my mom and grandmother, and I'll tell you why. They showed me the importance of helping people, even sometimes when it's to your detriment.
Yes,
but
yes.
but helping people.
Yeah, the imprint from my mother is, she told me, stop volunteering, because I would do everything for everybody. You know?
And then my mom would ask the question, now who's going to do it for you? I said, somebody will.
Yeah, and that's it. But the reason I asked you that question is, quite often when people talk, there's always one teacher, you know, from their school that leaves a lasting imprint, and they carry it into their life and throughout their life, whatever that may be. And sometimes that imprint, it can be negative, but boy, does it spur you on and drive you to be the opposite of what they say. And I interviewed someone else, and they were told, you'll never be a chef. And this person's gone on to be a celebrity chef and all sorts of stuff. An English teacher told me, you know, you're English, and they weren't very complimentary. I went on and got a distinction, wrote books, and now I'm a publisher. Hello, you know. So never, here's a good message. Would you agree with this? Never ever let anyone limit what limitless potential that you have within you.
I say it like this. I agree, and I say it this way. Never allow limited people to limit your limitlessness.
Yes. See, we're on the same wavelength. We're talking the same language, you know, even though I'm a Scot and you're an American, but it's the same language, you know. It's that it comes from the soul, and that's how we understand each other. Come from the soul, you know.
Yeah.
So we've touched on this a bit, but I don't know. You hear of being a servant leader, and I know a lot of my mindset's been shaped around serving others. What is it that continues you in getting up every day to serve others?
The overarching goal of mine to make an impact and make life better for people.
Yeah, that seems to be the message that's coming through from this conversation today, for sure, for sure. So, what do you do to relax?
Read, watch ghost stories and horror movies.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Have you ever thought of writing a novel, like as in some fiction?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I love that. Not yet. See, you're not ruling it out, you know. Okay, I love words of wisdom. I love reaching in to the depth of your soul, your experiences, your education, to discover those words of wisdom. What 3 words of wisdom would you like to leave today as an imprint on our listeners?
You're going to win.
You're going to win. Absolutely. It's like, is it I was going to say Tom Ford, but Is it Tom Ford? It's Ford anyway. It says, if you think you can't, you're right. And if you think you can, you're right.
Right.
Right. Is it Tom Ford?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay. And that's true, you know. It's that whole self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Well, if you think you're right, you're right. If you think you're wrong, you're wrong. Whichever way, it's negative and positive, you know. So I love that you're going to win, and we're all champions. And certainly you are an amazing champion. I love your depth of thought. I love what you've shared with us today. And I know you'll go on and continue to share that brilliance wherever you go. So thank you very much, Dr. Santarvis, for being my guest today on Brilliance.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, until the next time, it's Brenda saying, be brilliant, of course. Much love. Into the
That's it for this episode of Brilliance Today. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For more information or to contact Book Brilliance Publishing, visit bookbrilliancepublishing.com. And remember, do different. Be brilliant.